There are moments in life that divide everything into two categories: before and after. For me, it wasn't discovering a text message or walking in on an affair. It was hearing my 8-year-old son casually say something over a bowl of cereal that he thought was completely normal. Kids don't understand the weight of certain sentences. Adults do. I'm 41 now. This happened a little over 4 years ago, and if you'd met me before then, you probably would have described my life as painfully ordinary. I would have taken that as a compliment. I was a firefighter for 16 years. Not one of those adrenaline junkies constantly looking for excitement. I loved routine. Morning coffee. School drop-offs. Family dinners whenever my shift allowed. A quiet backyard where I'd spend Saturdays fixing things that weren't actually broken. My wife, Allison, used to joke that if I wasn't repairing something, I'd probably stop breathing. She wasn't entirely wrong. We met when we were 23. She was working at the public library while finishing her degree in accounting. I was still a rookie firefighter who thought carrying heavy things counted as a personality. Our first conversation lasted almost an hour. Mostly because I'd accidentally returned the wrong library book. Instead of apologizing, I somehow managed to argue that two books with nearly identical covers were practically the same thing. She smiled. They're completely different authors. They're both blue. That's your defense? I think it's a strong one. She laughed. No. But it's entertaining. I came back the next day with coffee. Not because I needed another book. Because I wanted another conversation. That became another date. Then another. 2 years later, we got married. 3 years after that, our son, Mason, arrived. Our daughter, Lily, followed 4 years later. Life wasn't glamorous. But it was good. The kind of good that sneaks up on you. Soccer games. Movie nights. Camping trips where it always rained at least once. Sunday pancakes shaped like dinosaurs because Mason refused to eat normal pancakes until he was almost 10. If someone had asked me then whether I was happy, I would have answered without hesitation. Absolutely. Firefighters develop strange friendships. When you spend 24-hour shifts together, you eventually know everything about each other. Who's getting divorced? Who's secretly taking night classes? Who's terrified of public speaking despite running into burning buildings without hesitation? My closest friend at the station was Greg. 20 years older than me. Married forever. The kind of guy who always had advice whether you wanted it or not. One afternoon we were cleaning equipment after a call when he looked at me. You know what your problem is? I have several. You trust too easily. I laughed. I'd hope my wife isn't poisoning my coffee. I'm serious. I know. I just don't think suspicion is a healthy way to live. Greg shrugged. Neither is blindness. At the time, I thought he was talking generally. Years later, I wondered if he'd noticed something long before I did. Everything started changing after Allison accepted a new job. She'd spent nearly a decade working for a small accounting firm. Predictable hours. Predictable clients. Predictable stress. Then a regional healthcare company recruited her as a financial controller. Better salary. Better benefits. More responsibility. I couldn't have been happier for her. We celebrated with takeout from her favorite Thai restaurant because she insisted spending money at a fancy restaurant would defeat the purpose of earning more. That was Allison. Practical. Grounded. Or at least she used to be. The new job came with longer hours. Not constantly. Just enough to notice. End of quarter reports. Executive meetings. Occasional weekend audits. Nothing unreasonable. I understood. My schedule was hardly predictable either. If anyone knew careers could strain a marriage, it was firefighters. So we adjusted. I handled more school pickups. She handled finances. We made it work. Or so I believed. About 6 months after she started, a new name entered our conversations. Ryan. Always Ryan. Ryan forgot to attach the spreadsheet. Ryan somehow convinced the CFO to approve new software. Ryan tells the worst jokes. One evening I laughed. I feel like I know this guy. She smiled. You'd actually like him. Is that right? He's basically my work brother. Work brother. Funny phrase. Harmless phrase. The kind of thing you never think about until hindsight starts rewriting every conversation you've ever had. Ryan wasn't hidden from me. Quite the opposite. I met him several times. Company barbecue. Holiday dinner. Charity 5K. He was outgoing. Friendly. One of those people who remembered names instantly. He shook my hand firmly. Allison talks about you all the time. I hope only good things. He laughed. Mostly about how you alphabetize your toolbox. I looked at Allison. You told him that? She grinned. You absolutely do. I like knowing where things are. Ryan laughed. I knew we'd get along. Honestly. He seemed like a decent guy. That's probably why I never worried. People expect affairs to begin with obvious attraction. Sometimes they begin with comfort. A year passed. Then another. Life settled into its usual rhythm. Mason started 3rd grade. Lily became obsessed with horses despite never actually riding one. We adopted an elderly golden retriever named Charlie because apparently the children believed every old dog deserved retirement with us. Charlie slept 18 hours a day. I respected that. One evening, while we were helping Mason study multiplication tables, Allison glanced at her phone. I forgot. What? Ryan's birthday tomorrow. She opened Amazon. I need to order his gift. I looked up. You're buying him a birthday present? It's just a coffee mug. I don't even know when Greg's birthday is. She rolled her eyes. Women are different. Fair enough. Didn't think much about it. Until Christmas. Ryan gave Allison a bracelet. Nothing extravagant. Maybe $100. Still. It felt unusually personal. You got him what? A travel mug. He got you jewelry. She laughed. It's from the whole office. But the card wasn't signed by the office. It simply said, couldn't survive quarter end without you. Ryan. Again. Not proof. Just. Odd. Greg noticed before I did. One afternoon he asked how Allison's new job was going. Great. She's still working with that guy. What guy? The one whose name you mention every other conversation. I frowned. Ryan? Yeah. They're friends. Greg nodded slowly. So were my ex-wife and her tennis instructor. I laughed. You've been divorced too long. Maybe. He looked at me seriously. Just don't ignore your instincts if they ever start whispering. I promised him I wouldn't. I had no idea they already were. The first genuine argument we had wasn't about Ryan. It was about my schedule. A rookie firefighter called in sick. I picked up an extra shift. When I got home, Allison was unusually irritated. I needed you here. You said your mom was coming over. She canceled. I didn't know. I texted you. I checked my phone. No message. Reception at the station was terrible. She sighed dramatically. Sometimes it feels like I'm raising these kids alone. That one hurt. I'd missed birthdays because of house fires. Anniversaries because of highway accidents. Christmas morning once because an apartment building collapsed. Firefighters miss moments. It's part of the job. But hearing my wife reduce 16 years of sacrifice to one missed afternoon stayed with me. She apologized later. Sort of. I didn't mean it. I know. I was frustrated. I know. But some words linger after apologies. Around then, Allison started guarding her phone. Not dramatically. Just. Different. She'd flip it over when notifications appeared. Take it into the bathroom. Charge it beside her instead of in the kitchen. Again. None of those things individually meant anything. Together. They formed a pattern. One Friday night, while we were watching a movie, her phone buzzed. She glanced down. Smiled. Then quickly locked the screen. What? She looked up. You smiled. Oh. Ryan sent a meme. Can I see? She hesitated. Then handed me the phone. The conversation was there. Mostly work jokes. Pictures of spreadsheets. Complaints about management. Nothing inappropriate. I felt guilty for asking. Maybe I really was becoming paranoid. Then something happened that I still think about. Our daughter drew a family picture for school. Stick figures. Bright colors. The usual. Except there were 5 people. Me. Allison. Mason. Lily. And another man. I laughed. Who's this? Lily answered immediately. Mommy's friend. What friend? Ryan. Allison looked up from cooking. Oh. He visited the office one day. Lily nodded enthusiastically. He makes mommy laugh. I smiled. That's nice. Kids include teachers, neighbors, even cashiers in drawings all the time. Still. After everyone went to bed, I looked at that picture again. 5 people. 1 family. Maybe I was reading too much into a child's imagination. Maybe. 3 months later, Allison told me she had to attend a weekend leadership conference. Out of town. 2 nights. The company booked a hotel. I kissed her goodbye Saturday morning. Drive safe. I will. Love you. Love you too. Mason wanted to FaceTime her Saturday night. She didn't answer. Texted 30 minutes later. Still in presentations. Call tomorrow. Perfectly reasonable. Sunday afternoon she called the kids. Everything seemed normal. Until Mason asked. Did Mr. Ryan like the arcade? Silence. Just for a second. What arcade, buddy? The one with the race cars. Another pause. Then she laughed. Oh. That was before the conference. Kids don't notice tiny changes in adult voices. Parents do. After she hung up, I asked Mason. What arcade? The big one. Mom showed us pictures. When? When she was with Mr. Ryan. I frowned. At work? I don't know. He won lots of tickets. My stomach tightened. When Allison came home that evening, I asked casually. How was the conference? Long. What did you do Friday night? We had dinner. That's all? Pretty much. She never mentioned an arcade. Never mentioned Ryan. Never mentioned any free evening. I wanted to ask. I didn't. Because I still had nothing. About 2 weeks later, my shift ended early. A chemical spill had shut down several roads. Traffic was a nightmare. Instead of driving home immediately, I stopped near Allison's office for coffee. The cafe overlooked the parking garage. Pure coincidence. I sat near the window. 10 minutes later, employees started leaving. I saw Allison. She wasn't alone. Ryan walked beside her. They were laughing. He opened her car door. She hugged him. Not a quick workplace hug. Longer. Comfortable. He kissed the top of her head. She didn't pull away. Instead, she looked around the parking lot. The way people do when they're checking whether anyone is watching. I ducked instinctively. When I looked back, they were gone. I drove home in complete silence. Maybe it wasn't an affair. Maybe. But it definitely wasn't like a brother. For the next week, I barely slept. I kept replaying that moment. The hug. The kiss. The glance around the parking lot. Eventually I convinced myself there had to be an explanation. There had to be. Then. One ordinary Tuesday morning. Mason unknowingly ended all of my doubts. We were eating cereal before school. Allison had already left for work. Out of nowhere, Mason smiled. Dad? Yeah. Do you think Mr. Ryan is nice? I don't really know him. I think he's funny. Why? He came to Mommy's office when I was sick. I frowned. What do you mean? You remember when Grandma picked me up? I did. About 6 weeks earlier. Mason had a stomach bug. My mother had collected him because I was on shift and Allison had a board meeting. Yeah. I woke up before Grandma got there. So? Mommy was hugging Mr. Ryan in her office. My heart stopped. Kids tell stories strangely. They jump from one detail to another without realizing what's important. What kind of hug? He shrugged. The kind where people kiss. The spoon slipped from my hand. It hit the bowl with a loud clink. Mason looked confused. Dad? I forced a smile. What happened after that? They didn't know I was awake. I just watched. Then Mommy saw me. She told me not to tell anybody because people at work might think they weren't working. He laughed. I almost forgot. I didn't. Not for a single second. I looked at my son. 8 years old. Completely innocent. He had no idea he'd just shattered his father's world. I stood up. Walked to the sink. Turned on the faucet. Not because I needed water. Because I needed a reason to stand there while I figured out how to breathe. Behind me, Mason kept eating cereal. Completely unaware that the sentence he'd casually spoken before school had just changed the rest of my life. I didn't confront Allison that morning. People always imagine these moments ending with shouting. They don't. Sometimes the biggest shock is so overwhelming that your brain refuses to process it all at once. Instead, I packed the kids' lunches. Drove Mason to school. Walked Lily to her classroom. Smiled at teachers. Made small talk with another parent about the weather. It felt like I was watching someone else live my life. The whole time, one sentence kept replaying in my head. Mommy told me not to tell anybody. That part hurt the most. Not because she'd kissed another man. Because she'd involved our son in keeping her secret without him even understanding what it meant. Greg took one look at me when I got back to the station. What happened? I think my marriage just ended. He didn't ask questions. Just walked into the break room and poured 2 cups of coffee. After I told him everything, he stayed quiet for almost a minute. Finally he asked, "What are you going to do?" I honestly don't know. You know one thing. What? You stop guessing. He was right. For almost a year I'd been trying to convince myself I was imagining things. I wasn't doing that anymore. That evening Allison came home around 6. She kissed me on the cheek. Long day. I'm sure. She froze. Just slightly. The kind of hesitation most people wouldn't notice. I did. We need to talk. She set her purse down slowly. What about Mason? The color left her face. What about him? He told me about the day he was sick. Silence. He remembers waking up in your office. More silence. He remembers you hugging Ryan. She sat down without saying a word. And kissing him. She closed her eyes. I already had my answer. Still. I asked. Is there something you want to tell me? When she finally looked up, there were tears in her eyes. I never wanted you to find out from him. Not it didn't happen. Not your misunderstanding. Just. I never wanted you to find out. I laughed quietly. Apparently that's today's theme. She started crying. I'm sorry. I nodded. I believe you. You do? I believe you're sorry. But I also believe you're sorry because your 8-year-old accidentally told me the truth. She buried her face in her hands. It wasn't supposed to happen. I leaned back. How long? She whispered something. I didn't hear you. Almost a year. Almost. A year. Every holiday. Every anniversary. Every family photo. Every I love you. A year. She told me everything. Not because she wanted to. Because there was nothing left to protect. Ryan had started as a friend. Long lunches. Inside jokes. Shared frustrations. Then one business trip. One hotel bar. One bad decision. I tried to end it. When? A few times. But we kept. She couldn't finish. Finding each other? She nodded. I never stopped loving you. I looked at her. I think you believe that. I do. But loving someone isn't measured by what you feel. It's measured by what you choose. She cried harder. I chose wrong. You did. That night I slept in the guest room. Not because I wanted space. Because I couldn't stand the idea of lying beside someone whose reality had been completely different from mine for nearly a year. The next morning I called my parents. Then hers. I didn't tell them every detail. Only that we were separating. Her father sounded stunned. Her mother cried. My own mother asked the question every parent asks. Can it be fixed? I looked toward the hallway where Allison sat quietly on the floor. I don't think so. The hardest conversation wasn't with Allison. It was with Mason. He noticed almost immediately that something was wrong. Dad? Yeah? Are you mad at Mom? I knelt beside him. No. Not mad. Then why are you sleeping downstairs? Children deserve honesty. Just not burdens. Mom and Dad are having grown-up problems. Did I do something? That question broke me. I pulled him into a hug. No. You didn't do anything. You've done absolutely nothing wrong. He nodded slowly. Okay. Then he ran outside to play basketball. Kids are wonderfully resilient. Adults aren't. The divorce moved quickly. Neither of us wanted to drag it out. There was no fight over money. No fight over the house. We agreed to sell it and split the proceeds. The only thing we argued about was custody. Not because either of us wanted to keep the kids from the other. Because we both wanted as much time with them as possible. Eventually we settled on 50-50. Walking out of the courthouse, Allison stopped me. I know I don't deserve forgiveness. No. I don't. I know. I just. She swallowed hard. I wish I could go back. So do I. For the kids. She nodded. For all of us. People expected me to fall apart. Instead, I became quiet. I stopped dating. Stopped going out. Started restoring an old pickup truck I'd inherited from my grandfather. Every weekend I'd spend hours in the garage. Sanding. Painting. Replacing rusted bolts. Greg walked in one Saturday. You know. What? You're rebuilding yourself. I laughed. I'm rebuilding a truck. Same thing. At the time, I thought he was being dramatic. Years later, I realized he was right. Some damage can't be reversed. You don't make it disappear. You patiently replace what's broken until something solid exists again. About a year after the divorce, the fire department announced an opening for battalion training coordinator. It meant less time on the trucks. More responsibility. More leadership. I'd never planned on applying. Greg wouldn't let me avoid it. You've trained rookies for 15 years. So stop pretending you're not qualified. I got the job. Turns out teaching younger firefighters came naturally. I loved it. Watching nervous recruits become confident professionals reminded me that growth isn't loud. It's slow. Almost invisible. Until one day someone else notices it before you do. The kids adjusted better than I expected. Mason joined a robotics club. Lily finally convinced me to let her start horseback riding lessons. Every Wednesday became dad dinner. No phones. No television. Just the three of us trying new recipes. Most were terrible. One attempt at homemade sushi nearly qualified as a hazardous materials incident. The kids still tease me about it. Those evenings slowly became my favorite part of the week. For the first time since the divorce. Home felt like home again. Just a different one. I heard almost nothing about Ryan. Which suited me perfectly. Then one afternoon Greg wandered into my office carrying a newspaper. You know this guy? He pointed to a business section article. Ryan's company had announced major layoffs after an accounting investigation uncovered serious financial misconduct. Not criminal. Just enough poor decisions to collapse an expansion project. Ryan wasn't accused of anything. But his department had been dissolved. I shrugged. Hope he lands on his feet. Greg looked surprised. Really? What would hating him accomplish? He nodded slowly. I guess you finally moved on. I hadn't realized it until he said it. But I had. About 6 months later, Allison called unexpectedly. Can we talk? Is everything okay? It's about the kids. My stomach tightened. What's wrong? They're fine. I'd rather do this in person. We met at the same park where we'd taken the kids countless times. She looked different. Not older. Just tired. She held a paper cup of coffee she barely touched. Ryan's gone. I waited. He moved across the country. Okay. We ended things a long time ago. Again. I waited. She laughed bitterly. I keep thinking if I tell you enough details, it'll somehow explain what I did. It won't. No. It won't. For a while we watched parents pushing children on swings. Finally she said, I've spent 2 years trying to understand why I risked everything. Figure anything out? She nodded slowly. I liked who I became around him. What do you mean? He made me feel exciting. Interesting. Desired. She looked down. I confused those feelings with love. I thought about that. Then asked. Were you unhappy with me? She took a long time answering. No. Then why? Another long silence. Because I stopped appreciating peaceful. I spent so much time chasing excitement. I forgot peaceful was something people spend their whole lives searching for. Neither of us spoke after that. Some answers don't fix anything. They just explain the damage. Another 2 years passed. Life kept moving. The kids got older. Mason entered middle school. Lily won her first writing competition. Greg finally retired after 34 years. During his retirement party he raised a glass. I've learned one thing. Everyone looked at him. The fires that almost destroy you usually teach you how strong your foundations really are. He looked directly at me when he said it. I smiled. He smiled back. No one else understood why. Not long after that, I met someone. Her name was Julia. She was a physical therapist who volunteered with our department helping injured firefighters return to work. The first time we talked, she corrected my posture while I was lifting equipment. You're going to destroy your back. I've been lifting like this for 20 years. And your back hurts. Maybe. She laughed. I rest my case. We took things slowly. Pain has a way of teaching patience. She met the kids 6 months later. Mason liked her immediately because she understood robotics. Lily liked her because Julia treated Charlie, our elderly golden retriever, like royalty. Charlie approved of everyone who carried snacks. His standards weren't especially high. One afternoon, nearly 5 years after the divorce, Allison called again. This time it wasn't about the kids. I heard you're getting married. I am. I'm happy for you. I appreciate that. There was a pause. Then she asked. Can I tell you something? Sure. I used to think loyalty was easy. I frowned. What do you mean? I thought faithful people were just, naturally different. She laughed softly. I understand now. Loyalty is something people choose over and over. Especially when life gets boring. She swallowed. I stopped choosing. I didn't know what to say. Eventually I answered. I hope you found peace. I think I'm finally starting to. That was the last personal conversation we ever had. A few months later, after our wedding, Julia and I were organizing boxes in the attic. She found an old family photo. Me. Allison. Mason. Lily. All 4 of us smiling on a beach. She looked at me. What do you want to do with this? I studied it for a long moment. Then smiled. Put it in the kids' memory box. Really? They deserve every happy memory they had. Even if things ended badly. She nodded. I like that. So did I. Because healing isn't pretending the good memories never existed. It's accepting that they belong to a different chapter. People ask whether I ever got revenge. The answer disappoints them. I never exposed Allison publicly. Never yelled at Ryan. Never tried to ruin anyone's career. Life handled consequences without my help. The revenge everyone expects is dramatic. Mine was ordinary. It was coaching Mason's robotics team. Watching Lily ride her first horse without training wheels. Laughing with Julia over burnt pancakes on Sunday mornings. Answering my phone without wondering who my wife was texting. Sleeping peacefully. Trusting again. There was one moment, though, that has stayed with me. A few weeks before Mason graduated high school, he hugged me after a father-son event. Out of nowhere he said, "You know why I always wanted to be like you?" I laughed. I'm almost afraid to ask. Because Mom always said you were the most dependable person she'd ever known. I looked at him. She said that? All the time. I smiled. For years I'd wondered whether everything had been a lie. It wasn't. She knew exactly who I was. She simply stopped valuing it for a while. And that's the lesson I carried forward. The right people won't mistake steadiness for boredom. They'll recognize it for what it really is. The safest place they'll ever call home.